Hey everybody, thanks for watching. This is the Be Better Golf channel, and today I am with Dana Dalhquist, a good friend of mine from the area and a neighbor, and also a really sought after coach for amateurs and for people on the PGA Tour, LPGA Tour. Do a little name dropping right now, Dana. Like who do you work with or have you worked with that people might have recognized from watching Golf Channel?
Probably a big one would be Charles Howell, Carl Peterson last year, or 2 years ago, Daniel Summerhays a year ago last season, Eric Axley currently, and a couple European Tour players.
And a lot of drop-ins, just
yeah,
guys just looking for just another set of eyes.
I don't travel.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay, right.
I don't travel on tour,
so if they want to make the trip, you'll check them out.
Yeah.
Dana, so if somebody was to say like, hey, what's the Dana Dalhquist philosophy? If somebody that wasn't you was to describe it, what do you think they would say?
Honestly,
yeah,
I would think they'd go, okay, he's a little bit mechanical. I think they would interpret that.
Yeah.
And in reality, there's two sides to everything, and I appreciate the right side of the brain stuff just as much as I do the left.
The first thing I wanted to talk about, Dana, is this this error in the golf swing that I struggle with, and so many of our viewers struggle with. This idea, you talked about it in Syncing Your Swing, this idea of going too much lateral force too soon.
Yep.
Is it pretty common to the higher up in clubs you go, like the closer to driver you go, to see it more and more, you think?
Yeah, it goes, and I don't want people to misinterpret what I'm saying. You do go forward, okay? There's a lot of things that encompass that. I mean, there's different types of hip motions. You have a reverse hip slide, you have a centered hip turn, you have an actual slide. Those all have, causes and effects. And so what happens with most players, and especially guys who say, hey, I want to hit a high draw and I want to hit this ball far, is they go to their backswing and they go immediately into what we call a reverse hip slide.
Yeah.
Hips go forward like that, they over rotate their knees, their upper body goes down, and then all of a sudden they have nowhere to go, they go forward and back. So that's pretty common.
Yeah.
And that's where you see a lot of the repercussions of that. Is you start changing things. You start changing shoulder alignments, you start changing your grip. Everything kind of becomes a systemic cause and effect. On the other side of the spectrum, when you have somebody who sets up, or goes in their backswing, they go into a hip slide, they have too much left tilt, they don't get enough depth, and then we have a whole new era where, guys are going to start going that way. So I think, a blending of the two, or the understanding of, as a player, while you're practicing, we live in a wonderful age of technology. You just film your swing and you can see commonalities.
This face-on view.
Yeah. See commonalities. So see where your hips are. Are you a centered guy, or are you a reverse guy, or are you a slide guy?
Well, the thing that I see the most in people that send me their swings on Instagram and just to check out, and in myself, is I see a lot of people making really lower body hips-wise, making these beautiful backswings till about here.
Yep.
Then they want to get a little more. The back gets a little tilted towards the target, and the hips start collapsing this way.
Correct.
And then they have to kind of reestablish something before they can go.
Yeah. So some players that have too much extension in their back typically are going to have something that's going to be not desirable in the downswing, and generally speaking, it's not rotational.
Yeah.
So you look at Adam Scott as a good example, a guy who, quote unquote, you could call has a lot of width, and I'm being very non-technical, but super wide lever system. Doesn't have a ton of thoracic extension at the top, has more of that softer, rounded look. And then he can now contribute from the ground an established rotation and keep those levers wide. Whereas you look at a Sergio, other side of the spectrum, okay, he goes into hip slide, a lot of extension in the top of his backswing, right? And then he pulls down on his levers as a result of that. But Sergio's a great player. I just wouldn't recommend a 30 handicap doing that.
The core audience of this channel is like from +3 to like 11 handicap.
Yeah.
So these are golfers, that's why it's called Be Better. These are golfers that have been playing for a while and they feel like they're just stuck.
Yeah.
They're just not getting any better. So when you have a golfer that has the swing problem that is holding them back, but they feel like it's this disease that is completely incurable. How do you break that pattern and start doing something different?
Yeah, so what you do is, let's say that, and to our point what we talked about last time, let's say you're a player who has too much lateral slide on the downswing.
Too soon.
Too soon. So what you do is you do your backswing, okay, and then you do your movement that you want, and then you somehow, some way, you need to attach that feeling to what you're seeing, which happens to be the target. And then you have to make sure that while you're getting this nice feedback loop going on of, okay, it's a nice tight draw, not a big looping draw or a big cut or anything like that, preferably a nice draw, that's going to be my feel. Okay, and you're going to have a nice loop. Now, it doesn't mean you just stand there and hit buckets upon buckets, but on a daily, get a visualization of it.
So you're saying when you're going to the range, you kind of have to reverse engineer what you're doing. So once you hit the good shot, you have to, all right, what was that?
Reinforce it.
Yeah, because a lot of people that talk about the way you teach say it is very mechanical, and the opposite of that would be feel, but you're saying they work together.
They do.
The feels have to feed the mechanics.
They have to be reasonable.
Yeah.
So, you know, I tend to work on maybe 2 to 3 things at a time whenever I do a lesson.
Yeah.
So you won't have one thing, like some players go, oh, I'm just working on one thing. Well, everything has a cause and effect.
Yeah.
So you might work on 2 to 3 things that all influence each other. And while you're doing that, why not talk about the shot you're trying to hit?
Yeah.
Is that the pattern you want to hit? Because whatever I'm teaching you better reflect to some pattern. And if it's not, it's never going to work.
Okay, so let's go into the part of the show. I'm going to hit some shots, Dana.
Okay, yeah.
And just to get people a feel of what you're thinking.
Okay.
Just give me a little bit of feedback.
Can I come back here?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you can go anywhere.
Okay. So I'm going to say, in reality, your body stuff is pretty good.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not, it's improved from what I was actually seeing months ago.
Yeah.
So what I see is what your levers are doing as you go back.
Levers, wrist angles, and
well, wrist, arm, right arm loading,
all these
rotation.
things that can hinge.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're talking about levers,
You actually, now this is not the scientific term, but it towards, because your viewing audience are golf nerds.
Yeah.
So we're going to say like your third accumulator, which is this. Okay.
the ability to go like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually rolling early.
Yep.
Okay. So what happens is you have to account for that. And we don't want to do that. So we actually want to go almost a reverse roll going back, feeling.
All right, so in order to stop from doing this, you have to feel this.
Yeah, but turn.
A little bit.
But rotate.
But keep turning.
Yeah, some amount. Okay,
so
then you're going to have second accumulator that's going to load, so which is going to be
this part of it.
Yeah, so turn and load. There's some amount, and that's what you're going to feel. Now, not that much, that'd be kind of wacky.
Yeah, but in full motion, it'll probably be perfect, but I don't feel like this, won't it?
Yeah, well, some amount. Now, the benefit to that is because you have to account for this move, that's why your pivot doesn't do what it wants to do.
Okay.
Because when this gets under real early, your brain says, oh, I'm going to move that sweet spot to a steeper condition or get it in line to the golf ball so I can make contact.
Right.
That's the goal of the brain. Okay. So it's doing that, and then all of a sudden you know it's going to be steep, and then you go, throw your hips forward, tilt back, hit out on it.
Okay.
And that's why sometimes you catch it heavy or thin or perfect.
All right, so drill-wise, let's try that, Dana.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
You want to
probably
blend
without
it.
a ball
I don't
first.
know if drill's the right word.
Oh, okay.
But let's do it right.
Okay.
So show me the right way. Just going to section 2. That 2 is right here. What would you do? Okay. So I don't know if the cameras can see this. So do that one more time. Don't left tilt so fast.
Okay.
So less left tilt, turn. There you go, right there. So this is rotated.
Oh, okay.
And this is here. And right elbow needs to go into external rotation right here. There.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Now,
gotcha.
see how that softened your shoulder and right in here? Good.
Yeah, because I have this feeling I want to do, like you were saying, the left tilt. I want to off the ball go.
Yeah.
You know, but you're saying for up to P2, you can just kind of put it there.
Yeah, and you're already turning. So you turn, and then this is going to be soft in your clavicle, and your right elbow is going to fold to the side of your body.
Okay.
And then you have checkpoints. You can thank Phil McGlenow for this. So you have one here, here, and here. There you go. Good. Now you can let your hips turn a little bit. There you go. Right.
Let me just try to hit a 50% shot like this.
Yeah. That's better. Okay, that was a lot calmer. Still had a little bit in there, but
Okay.
better. So try to do it just a little bit more. Yep. Okay, good.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Okay, now, do you want to go to stage 2?
Sure.
Okay, remember it's 3 things. So what was number 1 that you did at P2 from 1 to 2?
I felt this hinging while I felt this softening.
Yep,
So
and then
like
you're
this.
not as much left tilt and turning, right?
Yeah, so it's really just feel like this setting.
Okay, well, you're still going to turn a little. I want your hips to turn a
To
little
be free,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Good. Now,
Yeah.
now section 3 is when the lead arms parallel the ground.
Uh-huh.
See where that's going to be. Good. Let this turn a little bit more. There you go. There you go. Good. And then don't overbend the wrist condition. So once
okay.
you go to 2, this is real important. Okay, so
2.
I'm not going to say it's chaos,
Yeah.
but there's a lot going on in your hands and arms than you need.
Yeah.
Once you go to section 2,
Yeah.
you're pretty much done.
Okay.
You don't need to load anything else. So we're not going to keep loading the wrist if you already have it set.
Yeah.
To a degree, you can load a little bit at the top, but we're not for you. So
Okay.
go ahead and set up.
Yeah.
We'll do section 2 again. So that just folds. There you go. Good. Okay, now rotate to 3 and stop. Don't change that. There you go. That's soft.
Okay.
Feel that?
Oh, so once you're at section 2, there's not much more arm lift that needs to happen.
No.
Yeah.
You just
You're
rotate.
just turning.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, show me that.
Okay.
That was actually pretty good. That had a lot less going on with the shaft.
And the divot was much more shallow, it wasn't. I don't know
We'll
how
do
much
that 10
had to do
times
with it.
and we can make that assessment.
Okay. Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the next part, which is people always love. Love-hate relationship. Let's move on to driver, Dana.
Okay, perfect.
Of all the different things we talked about and worked on, I think the thing, without a doubt, that's helped me actually improve and get better is changing my concept about syncing the swing.
To me, it is the single most important thing in the golf swing. It's not lag, it's not how much open your hips get at impact, it's not that you hit a draw, it's not that you hit a fade. Can you get your arms to the same spot on your chest every single time?
Notice how right here, this is longer than this. So you want to feel a little more level and a little more open. You don't want to compress right here too much.
This is the way to actually be better, to be a better golfer, not just be yourself 100 balls later.
The biggest problem I see where golfers from like 3 to 12 can improve is learn how to land this on the body earlier.